topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon, Houston. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Hey, we first want to start off wishing everybody a happy and healthy new year. Hopefully 2025 is going to be a great year. We are expecting with our show just so many great things happening. Hey, today is Friday, and that means it's the first Friday of the month. That means the Dean Law Firm. And we want to welcome one of the attorneys at the Dean Law Firm, Attorney Calla Sprague. Good afternoon, Calla.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
We're doing good. Did you have a nice New Year's?
I did, and actually, yesterday was my birthday, so I always
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I love to talk about my birthday, so
I should have Juan sing happy birthday, but he might not. He might have a few words about that
right.
On our next show. We won't
we'll
do
spare
that.
the listeners.
Yeah. So listen, besides what happened in the last couple of days, you think about people who went to. I'm not making this a political show. We never do, but those people who went to New Orleans for Mardi Gras, expecting to have a great time, and the latest count is either 14 or 15. I don't count the guy who caused all this, but you just never know, do you, Calla?
No, and that's one of the things I think that in our legal world of estate planning, I think that's what we try to prepare for is sort of the unknown. I don't know the statistics on the people who were hurt in New Orleans, but my guess is they're probably younger than me or my age and younger, because that's usually who's out at 3 o'clock in the morning in Mardi Gras. But, a lot of them probably didn't have an estate plan because they thought, well, it's not time, or I don't have to worry about that, or I don't have anything to.
I'm in good health.
Yeah, or I'm 25 years old. Death is further from my mind than anything. And when you come to see an attorney, hopefully we can, at least to some degree, account for the unknown and consider the unknown, because if your affairs are in order, it just really can leave a much smoother, easier process for the people who you leave behind. And your estate plan, I always joke with clients, your estate plan is almost a gift to the people you've left behind so that it's easy for them. Estate plans, although it takes a lot of, work with your attorney, it's also just a really nice gift to all tied up in a nice, neat little bow for the people that you've left behind. And those poor people in New Orleans, my heart aches for them and their loved ones. But you're exactly right. I mean, most of those, they were probably young. They probably didn't have these affairs in order. And now they've sort of left not just a grieving situation for their loved ones, because that always comes first, but sometimes you can leave a probate mess, and, that's completely avoidable. So.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've always loved about the Dean Law Firm. Julia's got such a big heart, and I know the people who join her law firm are the same way. And when it comes to estate planning, I think it's a whole different animal than other areas of law. You've really got to have a heart for people, because you're talking about, preparing You're talking about death is really what you're talking about. And
Yeah.
I got to tell you, your firm is it's just you guys just go the extra step and the way you take care of your clients. But the whole reason, Cal, that I brought this up is, and you really said it best, is we just never know. You might be young and in good health. You never know, and it's never too late to plan.
That's right. And I do think estate planning is an interesting area of the law, and we appreciate all the nice things you always say about us, Steve. But it is true, we do care. I mean, truly, that is why I picked this area of the law. I think whether you're going to pass away with $1 billion or $1, whatever it is, that was your life's work to some degree, and how you leave it to your children, because your children are your life's work. At the end of the day, it doesn't always matter how much money you've made during your life. It's it's kind of your legacy that you leave behind. And that's the way Julia and the firm likes to approach it. Even if it's a modest estate, it's still a legacy that you can, hopefully what you do have can be left to your children and can be, or to whomever it is that you love or care about. But I think it's so important to find an attorney in estate planning who does care, and I always tell people when they come meet me for the first time, first I hand them my business card. The next thing I say is, by the time you leave, I want you to have all of your questions answered, but I also want you to feel comfortable with who I am as a person and as an attorney, because you're going to be trusting me with a lot of information. And like I
Yeah.
said, your entire life's work. You're really trusting me with your children, because your children are possibly who you're going to be taking care of, or your nieces and nephews. You're taking care of those people in your estate plan, and you're entrusting me to do it correctly. And that means a lot to me. And I think it means a lot to Julia and all the other people here at the firm. And I think that's the sort of lens in which we approach everything is, okay, these people trust us. We want to do a good job, and we want to take care of whoever they love, because we love them. I know that sounds corny, but truly I
No,
care
it
so
doesn't.
much that sometimes it keeps me up at night, Steve, how much I care about these clients. But I think that's important. And that's what I tell people. I say, after you leave, I say, I hope you want to come have a cup of coffee with me later, because I hope you liked me and enjoyed me as a person, and you understand that I'm here for you, and I want to accomplish all your goals within the legal world, that I can for you. So I think that's huge. And I do think that's what sometimes sets us apart from some other planners and other attorneys. Is I know there are other attorneys definitely out there that care and love their clients, but I know for sure the 3 attorneys here at the Dean Law Firm very much care.
You know what? This is going to sound really strange, but whoever came up with the word estate planning or
Mhm.
senior law or elder law, because first of all, with estate planning, people think, oh, I don't have an estate. I'm not in that revenue
Right.
area, but it's really has nothing to do with that. And we talk about elder law. It doesn't matter your age when it
Right.
comes time sitting down and working out the planning.
Yeah, I mean, and I totally agree with you. I wish we could call it like legacy planning
Yeah,
or
right.
family planning or something, but
I
you're
love
exactly right.
it.
The word estate sort of implies to a lot of people big money or big value. And that's not true,
Exactly.
because whatever it is you have, in my opinion, is what you've worked for, and you should protect it, and it should go to the people you want to. And it should go there what's good for those beneficiaries. Every child is different, whether a child has special needs or whether a child has tendencies of overspending or being influenced. All of those things are things we ask you about. If you come in and you talk to us, I want to know the ins and outs of your kids. And clients look at me like, why do you need to know so much? But I'm just trying to get a good picture of who your kid is and what they need or what they might need in the future. And whether you've got like I say, whether you've got $1 billion or $100, you can leave that to them, and you can take care of them the best way you can with what you've got. So I do. And also, truly, passing away without a will is so much more expensive on the back end because you have to pass away without a will. What that means in Texas is another attorney that your estate didn't hire, that the court has appointed to go find all of your unknown heirs. And from a perspective, it makes perfect logical sense that they want to find all of your heirs or all of your unknown children. But you might have unknown children out there, or children that you do know out there that you are estranged from, or that they don't do what you want them to do. There are plenty of things that happen to people along the way that cause rifts in relationships, and that can all be dealt with in a will. Whereas if you're going without a will and you have to follow what the state law says, you've got to give it to the people who maybe you didn't want them to have it. And it's more expensive. It's eating up any inheritance that they might have received by paying 2 attorneys when you probably would have maybe only had to pay 1 or none if it was done correctly. So there are ways to avoid this probate completely. And that's through trust. And a will in Texas, you still have to probate, but it's much easier and cleaner to probate a will than to probate no will. But a trust completely avoids all of that. It avoids, the need for your estate to be administered at all, because your trust lives on after you and lets those assets still have an owner even though you've passed away. So that's just a high level kind of rundown, but it really is, if you can get your affairs in order during your life, it's so much easier and so much less expensive for your loved ones, and you're not leaving them in a mess where, like I said earlier, they're usually trying to grieve. We forget that and it's easy for us to be, as attorneys, kind of a little cold to this because this is what we deal with every single day. We see people pass away. But I will tell you, when people come in for probate consults and are asking, okay, how do I administer my husband's estate or my father or my brother? My first thing is let's get this done as quickly and as seamlessly as possible so you can go back to grieving. Because if you're anything like me, I can't personally take care of my emotions until I get my to-do list done. And I think that's something that's easily lost in the legal field, is that to us, it's a job. To them, it was their loved one or their, or their parent or their whoever, and they've lost somebody. So yeah, we see it as a to-do list, but they need to be given the opportunity to grieve. And that's so important to me. So a lot of times I usually ask for permission, but I'll even hug my clients because I know what it's like to be in that spot. My father passed away kind of untimely. He was only 63 when he passed away. And I remember I had my mother who was able to take care of most of it, but I remember us going into this kind of survival do mode. Okay, there's 48 things on our to-do list and we got to get them all done. None of that, though, let us time to emotionally heal or emotionally deal with the loss of my father. And so I like to get people done with the process as quickly as they can so they can start that grieving process, because it's so important.
When we first started 3 years ago with your show, and I know probate, like you said, it could be very expensive. The first thing that Julia said to me was, we want to do everything we can to keep our clients out of probate. Well, wow, attorneys, they make money and they charge by the hour, and probate is so big. But here's Julia going, we want to keep them out of the probate court.
That's exactly right. And in Texas, it's very easy to avoid the probate. Like I said, a living trust that you create during your lifetime, that you fund during your lifetime, which we help you, of course, with, but it avoids the probate. And then it really is, there is no to-do list when somebody passes away. So you can immediately start that grieving process, or, the other to-do things, planning the funeral and stuff, things like that. But it kind of takes an entire 48 to-do list completely off your plate and lets you focus on the things that maybe are more important than probate. I mean, because as much as I think probate is important in getting assets where they need to go, when you're emotionally drained or just sad, it's hard to find the value in that. And I understand that. Yes. So if it can be avoided, how beautiful, how wonderful. So yes, that is most of our goal. When clients come in and they say, we need a will, I say, okay, do you know that a will require probate still? And most of the time they say no. Now, every once in a while, there's still a need for just a simple will, and probate might be okay in those situations. But most of the time, yeah, we really are trying to get clients to completely avoid that process for their loved ones. Yeah.
Kayla, what is the biggest mistake a person can make in their estate plan?
So besides not having one altogether, which
Yeah.
I did read a statistic, I think only 32% of Americans currently have a will or some kind of estate planning.
Wow.
So that is,
I'm shocked.
me too. Honestly, I thought it would be closer to 50-50, but it's not. So that's the number one pitfall, or the big mistake, is not having one. The other one is naming the wrong people in charge. So once you pass away, whether it's a will or a trust, you need to name someone that's going to be in charge of administering your affair. Well, obviously that person's going to have a lot of financial responsibility because they almost step into the shoes of the deceased person. So now they can sell the house or cash in the checking account or sell stocks and bonds, all those kinds of things. So you want to pick, number one, somebody that you trust, somebody that you would trust to do those things with you. And if you don't have someone that you trust, which a lot of people don't, that's where we can kind of get creative. We can name corporate trustees. So you can name a bank, you can name you can name an attorney, you can name a CPA. And the good thing about naming those three types of individuals is they're always thinking through the lens of not wanting to do anything wrong because they don't want to be sued. So they're going to do everything with their T's crossed and their I's dotted. Also, sometimes it could be situations where you've left a kid in charge of their own inheritance. So I'll just tell you, in my mom's will, 50% to me, 50% to my brother, and we are totally in charge of our own stuff. But if my brother was irresponsible or owed a lot of people a lot of money, there might be a reason for me to have to be in charge of his pot. That can obviously lead to some fighting. So those are the kind of things, though, that we want to talk to you about if you come in is, will your kids get along? My brother's name is Thomas. Will Thomas be mad at Calla for not letting him buy a Ferrari? Is he going to be upset? Not that my mom has Ferrari money, but if she did, those are the kinds of questions we want to ask. How do your kids get along? Do you see fighting? If they already don't get along now, they're definitely probably not going to get along after you pass away. So those are the kinds of things that we want to know so that we can avoid some of these big mistakes.
Do people get their feelings hurt if you're not selected?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We tell people, and this isn't to imply anything about our clients' children, but every once in a while, people have a problem child. And a lot of times we'll tell them, that problem child, even though they may be your oldest, you may want to name them as number 5th in line of people in charge, just so they can see their name. You're not cutting them out. You don't want to make them feel bad, but you don't totally trust them to do the right things. And that's okay. So we can kind of talk to you about some of those, emotional decisions as well, because you don't want to upset your children, or you don't want to upset your brother or sister that you've cut out. So we can talk to you about ways to protect them and to protect what you've worked for in that situation. But yeah, we see a lot of hurt feelings.
Do you also see people not updating on a regular basis?
Yeah, unfortunately. And sometimes I had a client call this morning and he wanted to update his trust because he had a daughter get married. I said, hey, no reason to update that. I love to tell people that because that'll save you some legal fees. But to the extent you can revisit it about every 2 to 5 years, just to see if things have changed. Is that kid that was maybe a problem child at 18, maybe he's not a problem child. He's grown up, he's 28 now, and he's good to go. And we don't need to still tie him down with all the strings attached to his inheritance, or maybe he's gone the other direction. He was an okay 18-year-old and not a great 28-year-old. We can amend those things to put protections in. And it's not so much so you can control from the grave as much as it is as you can protect your kids or your loved ones from themselves.
There's an area that you and I have talked about because it comes close to home, is special needs planning. Oh my God, Kalla, I wish there would have been somebody to educate us on what happens when your child turns 18. Because we have an autistic daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like, what do you mean that the state could take over?
That's right. And that is true in Texas. And I believe you're in Florida. So it's true there
Yes.
too. But, That's exactly right. And you can plan for those things beforehand. We don't have to wait till your child turns 18 to start the paperwork, because when they become 18, whether they're special needs or not, they're an adult in the eyes of the law.
Yes.
Whether they're really capable of taking care of themselves is a completely different question. And if the state's coming in, they can take over, or if you do it correctly, if we can start that process before your special needs child turns 18, it's just a smoother process. There's no lapse and who's going to, from 18 to 18 and a half, who's going to help this child? Who's going to take care of this child? And of course, as parents, we would want to take care of them, but you need the legal right in writing to take care of them at that point, because they're 18, they're an adult. And so, yes, special needs planning is another part of estate planning that I really enjoy, because again, I feel like I'm helping people. I feel like I'm really advocating for special needs kids or adults that are in those situations. So yeah, that's a really good area to talk to an attorney about if you have a situation.
It would have saved us so much money and time and effort if we would have gone to an attorney but we didn't know. And with one out, I don't know if you know this now, but 1 out of every 100 kids that are born with autism.
Wow.
And that's a lot.
That is, it's 10%, yeah.
And when you see what the state can do, I mean, it's just the law. So guardianship is so important.
It is. And it's an area of the law that a lot of people don't know much about unless you're sort of in this estate planning and a guardianship world. So yeah, it's somebody you need to see a specialist about, because it is cumbersome with the court. And as you know, there's annual filings, and that's all for the best interest of the child, making sure they're being taken care of. But if you don't know you need to do these things, if you don't know that that's what you need to do, or that you need to file anything with the court, it can become too late or later and cost you more money.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't know about removing beneficiaries after a divorce or separation, and it gets put in the back.
That's right. That's one of the huge things that we'd like to revisit when you come in and you tell us, hey, I want a will or a trust or whatever it is we do for you. The other thing we do is we provide you instructions so that you can go to all of your HR, all of your life insurance, HR for 401k or life insurance private that would be held privately. We tell you, what do you need to put on there so that your beneficiary designations flow with your entire estate plan. So your life insurance, it may make sense for you to give that all to one child. People think, oh, if I give it to one child, they'll just split it with their siblings. They don't have to, though. My mom, if she leaves me as the beneficiary of her life insurance, I don't have to share it with my brother. It may be her intent that she would want me to, but legally, I'm not obligated to. So that's the kind of stuff we want to sit down with you and revisit, so that we know, hey, this is what you had. This is what we think you should have. Tell us what you want to happen, and we'll tell you what needs to occur. So yeah, those things kind of need to work in tandem with your estate plan.
Okay, the show goes by so fast, but I got to get this text in. We just got a text from Libby. She's in Spring, Texas. She said, I love your guests.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love that, Libby.
Yes.
I really appreciate that.
Let's tell everybody how they can reach the Dean Law Firm.
Sure. So our number's down there at the bottom, but the phone number is 281-277-3326. My name is Calla. We have another attorney. I've been practicing for 8 years. We have another attorney, Jonathan, who's been practicing for 12 years. And we have Julia, who's been practicing for 36 years. So
no, she's too young. No. There's no
I probably shouldn't tell her. No, don't tell her I told y'all.
Well, we're replaying this show in 2 weeks, so I bet she might see it. But you did such a wonderful job again.
Thank you.
And we so appreciate your firm. Happy New Year to you, and we'll see you again next month.
Yep, perfect. Thank you so much, Steve. I really appreciate you.
Thanks, Calla. It's the Dean Law Firm. We love them. They're in Sugar Land, Texas. Calla Sprague is the attorney who was just on with us. We're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.